Let me ask you this. We also argued about LeBron versus Michael Jordan. Now, I don't want to have to teach you over the digital airways of YouTube. I really don't, because I got love for you, bro. I don't feel like having to do this. But, you know, since your wheelhouse is the music thing, my wheelhouse is the basketball thing. LeBron is your GOAT. Other than the argument of longevity, what you got?
Longevity is not just in other than longevity. Longevity is part of the conversation. There are many people who have done things for a long time. They've arrived, they've learned, they've grown, they've peaked, and then they've descended. We are watching a man who arrived, learned, grew, and his ascension has stayed at a level that we've never seen before. We have not seen a descension from LeBron James.
I agree with that, but even at his greatest, he wasn't the greatness of Michael Jordan as his greatness. You better watch your mouth right now, Tank. You better stop it.
Let me help you with that.
You please do. Please try.
There comes a time when an athlete is so far ahead of his time and so much better than everyone else that we just have to grade him differently, right? And so Michael Jordan, when Michael Jordan came around, was the only Michael Jordan.
That's right.
He was the only man,
that's right,
the only human capable of
Say
doing
it again. That's
what
right.
he was doing.
That's right.
Right? And
yes.
We can go down the list of people who were like that, from Floyd Mayweather to Roy Jones to Tiger Woods. They were so far ahead in their space. But what happened is, as they are the blueprint, like I say about Michael Jackson, everyone started learning from that blueprint. And everyone started evolving from that blueprint. So as Michael Jordan was a monster among men, LeBron James is a monster among monsters. There's more than Godzilla. There's more than King Kong. You understand what I'm saying?
Really?
There's so many monsters.
Excuse me. I could make a legitimate argument. What's your definition of monsters? Because let me tell you something right now. I'm not talking about athleticism. I'm not talking about individual prowess. You can jump out of the gym. You've got lightning quick speed. I'm talking about overall your results. Do you realize that there's a legitimate argument? And I'm not saying, because there were times when I thought that LeBron James was the best player on the planet. But do you understand there have been times for the better part of LeBron James' career, there was always a debate about who was better. Whether it was Kobe, whether it was KD, whomever, there was always a debate. With Michael Jordan, there was no debate. None. Nine-time all-defensive player first team, 10-time scoring champion, 6 championships, unblemished in the NBA Finals, 6 Finals MVPs. That's what I'm talking about, Tank. You can't compete with that.
He was that much better than those people in that generation. He was the first. He is the blueprint. But now you have Steph, you have KD,
yes.
you have James Harden,
okay.
You have the Greek the Freak,
yep.
You have Anthony Davis, you have Embiid, you have Devin Booker, you have Jason Tatum, you have the Joker.
Yes.
The list goes on. These are monsters. And LeBron is shining above amongst these monsters who would go back in time and demolish the 80s and 90s.
LeBron?
All of them. Everybody I just named.
LeBron, are you ready for this? And I dare you to refute this. So, LeBron goes to Miami, learns how to win, and that LeBron James has elevated himself to another level. 4 championships, okay? We got that, all right? 5 of his 6 finals losses, but 4 championships. Give credit where credit is due. Here's what I'm saying to you. You were around, you've been around long enough to know what that Jordan era was like. You know a thing or two about the 80s as well. You know as well as I do how hardcore it was. The NBA was a different game. You couldn't last 20 years unless you were Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. The physicality that was allowed would derail you. Michael Jordan was one of one in that era, even before the 90s arrived. And get this, my proclamation is that if LeBron was LeBron in that era, he wouldn't have got to a point where he ultimately became a champion, because they would have derailed him. Because what was his problem? It wasn't his physicality. It wasn't his abilities. It wasn't his greatness as a player. It was what was inside that chest of his until he lost the finals to Dallas, and then he became a man possessed in that NBA playoff series against Boston, which was the coming out party for him. Until then, he was a bit shy. Fourth quarter against the Jason Terrys and the J.J. Bareas of the world, where his 6'9" self couldn't even post those brothers up in the fourth quarter. How about that following All-Star game when Carmelo Anthony and D-Wade and Kobe had to come and run in his face because he was scared to take a winning shot in a damn exhibition game? Don't get me started, Tank. They would have derailed him, and he wouldn't have got to the point where he learned how to be a champion. That is what I believe you're missing. I'll give you the last word.
Thank you, and I appreciate you giving me the last word. As you have, this is your show, wonderful show, might I add. I love what you do. Let me tell you something that you have to do that people never do when you throw people back in time. You have to give them the same mentality of those back in those times. So if you're saying the game was more physical, then LeBron would have learned the game more physical.
Okay.
If you're saying that LeBron would have had to fight differently against whoever those monsters were back then that you call, there was no monster that was 6'9", jumping out the gym, running a 4.4, that could see everything. There wasn't one. And so if you send LeBron James back in time and give him the mentality of those back in time, he's going to score 100. He's going to score 100 points.
Hold on, Tank. Everybody didn't have Jordan's mentality. And I get to say that, LeBron, you're so great that ultimately you would have run into the greatest. And that is who would have derailed you. Just like Jordan derailed Mark Price and Larry Nance and Greg Elo and Brad Daugherty and those boys. Just like Jordan derailed Karl Malone and Stockton. Just like he derailed Barkley with Dan Marley and Kevin Johnson. Just like he derailed Clyde Drexler and Porter and those boys in Portland. Just like he derailed Sean Kemp and Gary Payton and Reggie Miller. He would have derailed LeBron.
Can we say this?
Yes.
Can we say this?
Yes.
Can we say that Jordan has never been the underdog? Can we say that Jordan was his team was the Golden State Warriors of his generation? Can we say that? They were the number one team.
They earned that, though.
No,
they earned that.
I got what they earned.
Okay,
I got what they built.
Earned that.
But were they that?
Yes.
LeBron James has had to go up against the Spurs.
Yes.
Dynasty.
Yes.
The Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
Dynasty.
Yeah. Well, they weren't a dynasty then. I mean, they won the first title. They came back and lost it, and then they had to go and get KD to go up against LeBron and them. They weren't the dynasty at that time. They had a ring.
He went against a Mavs team that was destiny waiting.
No, they weren't. No, they weren't. No, they weren't. Miami was the favorite in that series with D-Wade and Bosh. They had Nowitzki. They had Nowitzki, okay?
And
they had Jason Kidd, an old Jason Kidd. They had Jason Terry. Come on, Tank. No, you can't do that. You cannot.
The Dallas Mavericks were they didn't have better players. They were a better team, and you know the difference.
All right. I got you. Look, man, I got to get on out of here, but I got to admit to you, you're impressive. I got to admit that, man. I got to admit it. You know your sports. You know, you got your thing going on, man.